Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have a special guest. I have Amy from the creator and owner of Sangue de Drago. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Did I
Sangue
do a
de
good job?
Drago. You're
Okay.
close.
How are you doing today, Amy?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So I actually came across your Facebook page, and you have some of the most interesting pieces of art, horror art I've seen. You actually take like little dragons and you play them out into different horror scenes. So tell me about your artwork. How did you get an inspiration for it?
Well, I've always loved dragons. I've loved horror since I was a little kid, and I felt why not combine them? I liked what I was seeing other people do with taking various things and turning them into horror pieces, and I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to make it my own because I work with resin and a lot of it is resin molds, so everybody can do the same mold.
Hmm.
And I wanted to make it something that was different and uniquely me. And it just morphed into doing it this way. And I made friends with a girl on Etsy who sold me the little dragon mold that I use. And I found that dragon mold to just be so versatile that I just switched. And now it's how I paint it and turn it into whatever horror scene I want.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So and how long have you been doing this?
This style for about a year and a half now,
A year and a
and
half.
resin in general for about 2.5 years.
So how long does it normally take for like for instance, I saw recently, I saw it was a Friday the 13th one, which was pretty cool. How long does something like that take, start to finish?
Um, it generally takes me just shy of 3 weeks to do everything. That's from concept to final execution because you have to make all the pieces, then you have to, everything's got to cure and dry, then you have to assemble all the pieces. And I'm one of those people that it starts this way in my mind. That's not how it ends. I've added about 500 different elements by the time I'm done.
What, now, do you ever have horror fans commission you and they say, "Hey, I want a specific design." They give you pictures and you and you run with it.
Yep, I do commissions. I've done some Beetlejuice pieces. I'm currently working on Nightmare Before Christmas pieces.
Nice.
Um, and somebody has ordered a Texas Chainsaw Massacre piece and a Jaws piece, but they're not quite sure which scenes they want. Sometimes they tell me right down to, I want this specific scene, and I let them know if it's conceivable. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. If it's not, I'll work with them and say, well, we can try this scene if you like this, or we can do a variation. And other times they just say to me, I want, like the Beetlejuice girl, she said, I want Beetlejuice, whatever you want to do with it. And those are my favorite because they usually get something extravagant.
It'd be free range, right?
Yes, which is both good and bad.
That is. Now, as you know, you probably see my channel. I go to tons of horror conventions. I love vendors. Um, do you vendor at horror conventions?
I do. Right now, I'm only at CT Horror Fest. I'll
Okay.
be there in September actually, and I've expanded this time around. This will be my second year there, and I decided to go with two booths because I just couldn't fit everything in one. So, and then I was thinking about branching out to Monster Mania because I'm very familiar with their show. I've gone there forever. But that means venturing out of state, which means different licenses and whatnot. So I'm looking into that.
Okay. Now, how many pieces do you usually bring to a show?
As many as I can stuff in the car.
Or and you
Um,
got a variety.
yeah, I have anywhere from really large pieces, such as I did a Shining piece it had the carpet and the elevator scene with the twins, and that was really big. I also did on that scale. I did an Aliens piece that was also very large. Then I have another level down from that I do, and then I do just the individual dragons on a tiny base for the collector who, oh, I really like that character, but that piece is that's too extra for me. So I have the smaller ones too.
Okay,
Little something for everybody.
that's awesome. So what would you say that was the one piece that you've worked on that you were like, I knocked a home run with that one?
My Dexter piece.
I've seen that one. That's badass. It is.
Thank you so much. That was just one that I always liked the show Dexter, and I thought it would be a fun thing to do because Dexter has a lot of cool elements that I can bring in. I did the kill room. So you've got the body in saran wrap, you have the plastic over the room itself. Of course, I had to get the fingertips in because this is me.
Yes.
But then that gave me the opportunity to take the people that follow me and like my work, and I put out a thing and said, hey, who wants to be a victim? And I got I was truly humbled by the number of people that responded and said, I want to be part of your artwork. This is awesome. Nobody knew what the piece was. That was part of the surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up I had to cut it off. I had 21 victims on the wall. So this killer was it was the most prolific serial killer around. 21 victims. Dexter finally got him. But I did have to cut it off because otherwise it would have just been a bunch of pictures. So the first lucky 21 people are in there, and I'll admit my mom is in there too.
Poor mom.
She got so excited. Her favorite thing to do is I bring up the pieces and I say, hey, we finished another one, take a look. She gets so excited about them, which is funny because my mother does not like horror at all. Mm-hmm. And she likes the pieces. And when she saw her face, she goes, oh, is that me? I'm like, yeah, that's you. And she was all excited about it.
That's awesome. All right, so you go to quite a few horror cons, and I'm pretty sure you've seen my video, 5 things I hate about horror cons. What is your number one thing that you hate about horror cons?
I'd have to say the number one thing that I really dislike about them, it's a close tie. It's the kids at night at the parties, because I don't.
Thank you, right? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm old school that I
got so much shit about that. I got so much shit about that one thing. I was like, out of all the things I said, you point out that one.
Right? I'm not saying they don't belong there. Absolutely. Let them have fun. I was introduced to horror at a very, very, very young age. My grandmother took me to see Carrie, and let's just say that I had only been around in this world for a couple of years. Probably shouldn't have been there. But if they're, expose them to it. I don't have a problem with that. But Friday and Saturday nights are party nights. And that's not for everybody.
And people are drunk and high and
exactly
inappropriate. So why would you want to have your young kid around for that? And there's a lot of creeps there on Fridays and Saturday nights. There's a lot of creeps.
Yeah, there is. And there's some things that I'm almost 50 and even I don't want to see it.
Yes. All right. So, and what's the second one?
The second one, and I know this is also going to be an unpopular opinion, I feel like a lot of them have gotten too big. I liked them when they were small, family friendly. Like I remember going to the old let's go back to Monster Mania 8. And we would go, they were small. It was so great. I remember, I think it might have been 10 for this one, but we went on Friday night. There was nobody there. We spent over an hour with Tony Todd just talking. It was amazing. It was one of the best conversations I ever had. That man is so personable. I loved it. You can't do that now. So there's experiences that are gone now. You kind of get shuffled through, especially now a lot of them have the professional photographers. You can't just take a selfie at a thing. I miss the small, I don't want to say coziness. I don't think that's the right term, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I miss that.
But that's why I've interviewed several. There will be more interviews coming up of smaller horror cons, because so last one I went to was Carolina Fear Fest in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I did a video, and the whole entire time I kept saying, "There's hardly no one here. You can just walk up and just get in line. You know what I mean? You can actually look at the vendors. You're not standing over a whole bunch of people." I agree with you. I like that. And like you get the Monster Manias and Steel City Con and places like that, they're trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all about the money. And what happens is, if you're someone coming in as a guest, you don't get the full experience. You got to deal with the horrible parking. You got to deal with the ridiculous lines. You also got to deal with the ridiculous prices as well. So it kind of dampers down the experience. And I also, which pisses me off, it also screws with the vendors too. And the vendors, hear me say in every single video, the vendors are the ones who carry the cons.
I agree. And I'm not saying that from a vendor standpoint. I mean, my vendor experience is minimal. But a lot of times I remember I spent more time in the vendor room at Chiller, Monster Mania than I spent with the guests. I mean, let's be realistic. As awesome as it is to meet them, there's only how many times can you meet the same people over and over again? So that's when I started going more for the vendors, or I liked the cosplayers that were there too. I thought it was great. It's so impressive to see the things that people can do.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're definitely on the same page. Yes, I'm agreeing with you too that they're too big, especially the ones like Monster Mania, which I'm used to Monster Mania, going to Monster Mania, which when it was a small, intimate setting, and now it's this huge thing that there's thousands of people cramped in a small area.
Yeah.
Another reason you don't want to bring a small kid, but you're cramped in a small area with thousands of people. Another thing is too, the majority of people there don't smell great, so
yeah, that's a problem too. I mean, realistically, I don't fault Dave for Monster Mania for getting big. He has to compete with the other ones.
You have to.
Right. I mean, he would lose out if he didn't. So it's not that I fault him for that. It's just, I think knowing what they were and seeing what they are now, I feel bad for the people that didn't know what we got to experience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like one of the first Monster Manias I went to, I got to meet Robert England in the hotel bar, and we had a shot, took a free picture together, and like you can't experience that now. You're not.
No, and that's the sad part. That's the stuff that's lost. I mean, we bumped into Doug Bradley on the elevator, and we ended up going and chatting with him. We sat down in the bar restaurant and had a conversation with him. I mean, who could say they had dinner with Pinhead,
Yeah.
I mean, it was really fun, and it was those little experiences that are things that even 20 years later, my friends and I are still talking about it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. So Amy, where can we find you besides the Connecticut Horror Fest? I mean, HorrorCon. Whatever it's called. Yes.
CT Horror Fest.
CT Horror Fest. Yes.
Yes. I've got a Facebook page under Sangue de Drago, and then I'm also on Instagram. It's Sangue de Drago with little periods in between, and I just started on TikTok, so I don't have much of a following or anything on there, but I do try and post stuff on there too to show off what I've done. And then people can just email and reach out to me if they find me on Facebook Messenger. I'm pretty good at responding to everybody pretty quick. And I love to hear the ideas that people have. I've got an idea book that is so full. I don't intend to run out of things anytime soon. And I think this is fantastic.
Awesome. Yes, I am definitely going to be hitting you up soon too, because I do like that Dexter. I'm a huge Dexter fan myself, and I was like, that's badass.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Thank you.
Definitely everybody get a chance, go onto her Facebook. There's tons of pictures of all the pieces of art that she has. It's amazing. If you're a Friday the 13th fan, they got something. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, they got a little bit of everything. So, and even if there's something on there that if you're looking for something else that's not on there, hit her up. And she said she'll gladly make you one.
You bet. I'd be happy to.
Okay, Amy. Well, thank you for coming to the horror room. All right, guys, I'm Travis Bruce. I'm going to see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.